This is Jason from the QuickBooks team. If you need to record the same transaction over and over again weekly, monthly, or yearly, QuickBooks Desktop can either do it for you automatically or remind you to do it yourself. Let's go over how to memorize a transaction in QuickBooks. Start by selecting the kind of transaction you want QuickBooks to record later. Let's set up an invoice for QuickBooks to record and send to a customer once a month. Select Create Invoices. Select the customer you want to invoice on a regular basis. Make sure the terms are set up correctly. When QuickBooks creates new invoices based on the one you memorize, the same terms apply to calculate the due date. Next, enter everything you charge the customer for each month. Then record anything else that's important for the transaction, such as the sales rep responsible for the sale and whether or not you want to add the transaction to your email or print queue whenever QuickBooks creates it. After you enter all the info that QuickBooks needs to record the transaction in the future, select Memorize. Name the recurring transaction. Choose anything you like. The important thing is that you recognize it later. If you choose for QuickBooks to remind you, the transaction appears on your reminders list and isn't actually recorded. Select the option to not receive a reminder if this transaction has no set schedule. Automate transaction entry means that QuickBooks creates the transaction and records it for you based on the schedule you set. You'll still have a chance to confirm or deny the transaction whenever QuickBooks suggests you record it. This is usually the option that saves you the most time. Next, choose the frequency and next date you want QuickBooks to record or remind you about the transaction. If you only want to record the transaction a set number of times, enter that info. QuickBooks will not record or remind you about the transaction after it reaches that number. If you need to print the transaction, like a check, and send it through the mail, you can set QuickBooks to record it a few days in advance. Once you're done, select OK. If you save the transaction, QuickBooks creates and saves the transaction right away. Since you already told QuickBooks when to create this transaction in the future, you don't need to save it. Instead, select Clear, and then close the transaction. We went over how to memorize an invoice, but you can also memorize bills, credit card charges, checks, and more. Just fill out the form and select Memorize. If you need to edit or delete a memorized transaction, select Lists, Memorized Transaction List. To edit the frequency, right-click the transaction and select Edit Memorized Transaction. You can also delete the memorized transaction. To make changes to the items, amounts, or accounts on the transaction, double-click it. Make the changes and select Memorize. QuickBooks asks if you want to replace the old memorized transaction with the new version. Now you're ready to save time and automate your bookkeeping with memorized transactions.